Hi, I've been gone for about a week, and I apologize to keep you guys waiting on some of the new horrors that are coming out. I've just had a couple of projects that I've been working on diligently, day and night, so I just didn't have time to post some of the videos, but I promise to catch up really soon. Starting out with this week's Low Budget Binge, which features a trio of found footage films, as well as two regular old cinematically filmed films. So let's get going. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. Low Budget Binge is where we venture down the path less traveled and look at low budget, no budget, and sometimes international films that never get that top billing you see with the usual Hollywood fare. I'll indicate in the review down below where you can find these films along with their trailers. Here we go. Bad Ben 2, Steelmanville Road, aka a Bad Ben prequel, is streaming on Tubi and on the Bad Ben website. You can find a link to that down below. It's directed and written by Nigel Bach. Last time on Low Budget Binge, I reviewed the first Bad Ben and found it to be intriguing with a lot of ideas that I was hoping they would elaborate on in future installments. Turns out they did. A newlywed couple, Rachel, played by Jessica Partridge, and Matt, played by Christopher Partridge, inherit a large house from Rachel's mother. Almost immediately, Jessica begins hearing strange noises and getting strange vibes from the new home. Working nights and looking to make his wife feel better, Matt gets his friend to install an intricate set of video cameras to provide security and comfort for his wife. But these tapes only solidify Jessica's claims of strange paranormal activities occurring. When a local mystic named Mona arrives, she informs Jessica that she knew her mother and reveals the dark secrets of the house's past involving a cult-like family, the Jersey Devil, and dark forces swirling around the property. Though it doesn't advertise it at first, I really like the way Steelmanville Road attempts to surprise the viewer in believing this is a sequel to Bad Ben, when in fact it's a prequel. Having encountered the film with the title Bad Ben 2 Steelmanville Road, and not the other title, a Bad Ben prequel, I think it only adds to the experience seeing these little details come to pass that show up later in the timeline in the first Bad Ben. Much of the strange and seemingly random details that show up in the original Bad Ben are explained very well in this prequel. In fact, I was extremely impressed at how finely crafted the mythology of Bad Ben actually was. If you're looking for a film series that pays extremely close attention to consistency and continuity, filmmaker Nigel Bach does so with flying colors here. In pretty much every way across the board, Bad Ben 2 is a better film than its predecessor. The cast is expanded. The acting feels pretty natural. The budget is still low, but still, some very rudimentary effects are used quite capably. There are quite a few lead-ins to jump scares that pay off surprisingly well. There's a simple image of a kid superimposed into scenes that may seem goofy at first, but the more he appears, the spookier he actually gets. I was also really impressed at the way Bach incorporates the folklore about the Jersey Devil into the mix. Even while this sequel, prequel, answers questions, it introduces new ones for future installments to pick up on. That's some impressive storytelling at work. Much more impressive than I would have thought capable of this series. While I don't want to build Bad Ben 2 up too much, it's still bare-bones filmmaking. It still manages to get solid scares and performances despite the low budget. The film definitely has me excited for the next one, which, as of this point, is improving as it goes along. Here's hoping things get better, or at least remain consistent, next week when I cover Bad Ben 3, Badder Ben, the final chapter. Yeah, right. Last Radio Call is new on demand and digital download from Terror Films. It's directed and written by Isaac Rodriguez. When a police officer, David Serling, played by Jason Scarborough, goes missing due to strange circumstances in a haunted asylum, his distressed wife Sarah, played by Sarah Froelich, hires an investigative crew to document her attempts to find out what happened to him. This leads Sarah down a dark road involving ancient spirits, medical abuse, and an unrestful spirit named Mary, played by June Griffin Garcia, who haunts the asylum. Sarah's search forces her to recreate the final moments of her husband's life recorded on his body cam. I'm a sucker for found footage films, and while this one might not be the best, Last Radio Call does have its moments of first-person shocks and scares. There's something about a camera panning across a darkened room and the tension built when you know somewhere in the dark something is lurking and ready to lunge right at you. It's basically the scenario that is the foundation of many a found footage film, while much of the in-between of Last Radio Call isn't that suspenseful or terrifying. The film is bookended by two very effective handheld footage clips that work terrifyingly well. The acting is not great. Sarah Froelich is okay as the determined widow, but many of the people she encounters don't really feel like they're being captured naturally on film. The trick with all acting in film is that actors have to seem like they aren't acting even though they are. This is especially important with found footage horror, as the camera is supposed to be featuring non-actors genuinely displaying emotions. In Last Radio Call, unfortunately, many of the actors feel as if they're reading lines and not just coming up with the words in the spur of the moment. Because Sarah is desperate to find out what happened to her husband, she follows a bunch of leads. Some of them are dead ends, some don't seem to matter at all. While this might feel like a real investigation, this still is a story, and these moments feel more like distractions in a meandering script than a focused journey. Even though the acting has some issues, and the script is kind of scattershot, Last Radio Call does have a pair of winners in the beginning and ending segments. For that, I give it a passing recommendation, as these scenes really did work in making me jump and shiver. Breeder is new on demand and digital download from Uncork'd Entertainment. It's directed by Jens Dahl and written by Sissel Dalsgaard. Mia, played by Sarah Hjort Develtsen, is an unsatisfied wife of businessman Thomas, played by Anders Heinrichsen, who owns a research company that is doing experiments to extend a person's life. This company has the interest of many of the upper class in hopes of buying immortality. Thomas's top scientist, Dr. Ruben, played by Signe Elgholm Olsen, is close to perfecting the process, but it requires human experimentation. Thomas is all about the money that Ruben is promising, but wants everything above board. But Ruben has other plans and forces Thomas to comply with them for the big paycheck. When a failed abduction results in a screaming woman showing up to their house, Thomas tells Mia he will take her to the hospital. Instead, Thomas takes the woman back to the research facility, and the untrusting Mia follows. This results in Mia being trapped in the facility, and though Thomas knows she's there, he is powerless to stop them from doing their invasive tests upon her and the other female inmates of this facility. While the beginning half plays out like a thriller, with Mia growing ever suspicious of her distracted husband, Breeder morphs in the second leg into a throwback to the women's prison movies of old. The film definitely wears its torture porn badge on its sleeve, and those who developed a distaste for that type of film in the aughts will have lots to wrinkle your brow at here. There is plenty of mistreatment of women, degradation, torture, attempted rape, actual rape, Stockholm Syndrome, and all kinds of depravity going on. Breeder isn't shy about dedicating long periods of time showing this kind of torture. But as distasteful as I find that sort of thing, at its heart, Breeder is a strong character piece featuring an even stronger performance by Sarah Hjort Develtsen as Mia. This is an extremely nuanced performance, and Develtsen delivers a character worth remembering and rooting for. Her marital frustrations are displayed efficiently at the beginning, which definitely won me over and made me root for her to get through this hell she finds herself in. She's a likable character, and the actress is able to communicate a lot with just her eyes, letting the viewer know that the gears are shifting and churning in her brain without saying a lot in dialogue. If I take anything away from this movie, it's that Develtsen has a lot of talent. If not for Develtsen's performance, though, Breeder wouldn't have worked for me. It's an extremely mean-spirited film, almost relishing in the extended torture scenes. Michael Holst plays an especially despicable character named Dog, and does so well that I found myself absolutely despising this guy. Sure, this movie can sort of hide behind a message of female empowerment, as many women in prison films have done in the past, But the comeuppance and revolt towards the end really doesn't outweigh the arduous amount of torture scenes you have to endure to get there. This is a capably made film with quite a bit of talent and nuance in front of and behind the camera, but there's an ugliness to Breeder that left me wringing my hands. Horror in the High Desert is new, streaming on Tubi. It's directed and written by Dutch Marich. An outdoorsman named Gary Hinge, played by Eric Mensis, mysteriously disappears in the Nevada desert. Despite the exhausted efforts of a news reporter, played by Entrance's Susie Block, a private investigator, played by David Morales, his roommate, played by Errol Porter, and his sister, played by Tanya Williams-Ogden, there are few leads to his whereabouts until a break in the case provides terrifying video evidence of his last night. The filmmaker, Dutch Marich, who delivered the bone-chilling Reaptown last year, brings us the part mockumentary, part found footage film, Horror in the High Desert, an exercise in patience with a satisfying payoff. A major portion of this film is simply talking heads talking their heads off about how they know Gary, how great Gary is, and hypothesizing what might have happened to him. There are two major breaks in the case, which expand the mystery and punch up the plot, but for the most part, this is a very slow lead into a potent ending. The issue here is that everyone is speaking from a highly dramatic level. Each cast member does feel authentic, almost too much so, which is going to add to the tedium for those less patient of viewers. Luckily, each break in the case is intriguing and opens up the story for deeper questions. This is what kept me with Horror in the High Desert all the way through, but I can imagine some won't make it to the end of this long trek. The acting is fine. I always wondered what happened to Susie Block, who was excellent in the simplistic stalker film Entrance. She shows up here as an earnest reporter dedicated to getting to the bottom of the case, and her performance is one of the most genuine. Tanya Williams-Ogden is also quite convincing as Gary's sister, though her pauses in line delivery definitely add to the get on with it feeling I had as the movie went on. The final moments are terrifying, partially because of the ominous lead-in and the build-up by the interviewees. The footage depicting Gary's final night is handheld shaky cam, but absolutely effective on both a sound and visual level. Simple night cam lighting, music being played backwards in the background, and a strangely shaped figure in the darkness are all it takes when put together as the right combination to deliver a true edge-of-your-seat conclusion that left me pretty satisfied. The final crawl promises that a team of investigators have a lead on where the final moments of Horror in the High Desert took place. IMDb promises that a sequel is in post-production, and it looks as if actress Susie Block is returning. Yay! While I hope this sequel moves at a slightly brisker pace and more thrills and revelations occur in the film's bulk, if it is able to capture the intensity of the final moments of Horror in the High Desert, I'm all game to venture on this perilous journey again. Finally, we have The Runner, which is new, streaming on Shudder. It's directed and written by Boy Harsher, a band made up of musicians Jay Matthews and Augustus Muller. The Runner isn't as much a film as it is an extended music video. It definitely falls into the realm of horror, but it is less of a straightforward narrative than it is a bunch of gory images and tension-filled scenes. From what I can glean, the runner, played by Chris Esfandari, is on the run, moving from town to town, place to place. What's she running from? Not really sure, but she seems to have an urge to kill from time to time, and does so in very intimate and gruesome ways. Without a real beginning or ending, the runner merely offers up a sequence of events in the middle of the runner's overall story. She begins on the run in one place and ends on the run in another. If you're okay with that type of loosey-goosey narrative style, then The Runner is going to be something you might want to take a peek at. The thing is, the entire short film offers up quite a few songs from the retro synth band Boy Harsher. The band consists of a singer, Jay Matthews, and synth musician Augustus Muller. Their sound resembles the Drive soundtrack, which oozed with retro vibes. I find this type of music to be a lot of fun, sensual, entrancing, makes you want to sway from side to side, though it is very repetitious. The sound gives off that dour and dangerous coiled cobra in the corner vibe that matches the character of the runner perfectly, so there's a synergy between sound and image here. Things do get gory, and it turns out some kind of supernatural thing is going on with the runner. Though she doesn't have any lines, Chris Esfandari is striking visually and reminds me of a young Kathleen Keener. If you miss the era of music videos as I do, where experimental storytelling was much more accepted, and things don't need an ending explained video made to understand it, then The Runner might be your jam. It only runs about 40 minutes, and I found each of Boy Harsher's songs more entertaining than the next. It would make an interesting pairing with Carpenter Brute's Blood Machine short music-centric feature, also released on Shudder last year. Maybe bigger plans are in the work for this Runner, possibly a full-length feature. If so, cool. I'm interested in this experimental music story mishmash style. If not, The Runner, as is a strong extended experimental music video with images and tunes that'll resonate in your brain long after it's over.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. You're doomed. Live the life that you are meant to be. Live inside that reality.